kind of give us some thoughts on what you all did, some of the things you did to create those relationships.
Well, one of the things that Trent and I both feel strongly about is the need for inclusion. And by that, the president inviting leaders down to the White House. We did that when, right after 9/11, President Bush invited us down. He didn't invite us. He told us we had to be there at 7 in the morning every Tuesday. And that inclusion created a chemistry among us that allowed us to deal with a real crisis at that time. And it made a huge difference. And the relationships that came from it really made a difference in terms of what we were able to get done. Joint caucuses, opportunities for Republicans and Democrats to sit together, to break bread together, to listen to the leadership together rather than separately, so that these these separate caucuses don't just become pep rallies for your side. You know, doing things to socialize, bringing spouses together, and opportunities to get to know one another in a more informal basis. That's the way they used to do things, and you know, it really made a difference. We don't have any of those things anymore. None of that happens today, and I think that's one of the problems.
Several times when we faced a crisis with how we were going to act in the Senate, we would have a joint conference meeting of Republicans and Democrats in the old Senate chamber. Sometime it was to have a CIA briefing about something very sensitive. Sometime it was to try to see if we could find a way of how to proceed with the impeachment trial, which we were pretty well at loggerheads. And every time we had those joint meetings, whether it was just in the Senate dining room or in the old Senate chamber, marvelous things came out of them. We heard each other out, we made decisions, and we moved forward.
Tell JC about the Graham-Kennedy agreement.
Oh yeah, this is the one where we were, Tom and I had come to terms with the fact, look, the House had voted to impeach the president, and we were going to have the trial. But we weren't sure how to proceed. We hadn't had one of those in
100 years.
Yeah, over 100 years. So finally, we came up with the idea we were going to meet in the old Senate chamber, and we were going to have a discussion about how to proceed. And we didn't know what the result was going to be. I mean, we really didn't. But I called on Danny Akaka from Hawaii to open it with prayer and ask for God's guidance on how to proceed. And then I asked Bob Byrd, give us a little history, not too long, about our constitutional responsibility, and he did a marvelous job. And then we opened up for discussion, and people started to talking back and forth, and finally, Kennedy made some comments, Ted Kennedy, and then Phil Graham made some comments. Phil Graham from Texas. Now, they're the poles of the two parties, conservative, Republican, very liberal line of the Democrats. And what it sounded like was they were saying the same thing. And I looked down at Connie Mack, my buddy, and he nodded, and Connie Mack, senator from Florida, and I said, that's it. We have the Kennedy-Graham solution. And so everybody was so excited, and we broke up the session. We have the agreement how to proceed. And Tom said, I think we ought to go to tell the press we've reached this agreement. And we're going down the hall. And I don't know which one said it to the other, but the other said, now, exactly what did we agree to? And I think I probably said, I don't really know either, Tom. So why don't we get some key players like Slade Gordon and Phil Graham and Ted Kennedy, and put them in a room and get them to write up what we agreed to. But we got the agreement, and we proceeded. We did our constitutional responsibility. We didn't remove him from office, but we did it in a way we felt was fair to all, and we came out the other side with the ability to then go back to doing legislation for the people.